Creations Knitting Podcast. This is episode 19, and if you are a first-time viewer, thank you so much for stopping by, and if you're a return viewer, thank you for coming back again. So let's get started. I have some exciting news. The last couple weeks I have talked about a shawl that I've been designing. Actually, it's a shawlette. I finished it. That's why I'm a little bit late doing my podcast today. I usually do it earlier in the afternoon, but I was determined I wanted to finish it to be able to show it to you all. I'm in the process of putting it up on Ravelry. Hopefully next week it will be up for purchase on Ravelry. So let me tell you a little bit about it before I show it to you. It's an asymmetrical shawl. It's a 3-color shawl, and it has some beading on it. And I couldn't show you the colors when I was initially doing this because you would have figured out what I was making. And so what it came down to is here in the United States, I live in Pennsylvania. Here in the United States, on patriotic holidays like the 4th of July and Memorial Day and Veterans Day, things like that, people tend to wear patriotic colors. I didn't have any patriotic colors. My colors were usually red shirt, blue jeans, and a pocketbook that was like red or blue. That was the extent of my wardrobe that was patriotic. So I thought, what if I made a shawl or a shawlette or a cowl, something like that, that was in patriotic colors that I could wear on those type of holidays. So that's what gave me my inspiration. So the colors that I made mine in are red, white, and blue. However, the shawl is written so that you could actually substitute any color. I mean, you can put any colors in it that you want to. Let me show you the one that I made, and then I'll show you some of the other colors I'm going to make this in as well. Now, like I said, if you're not into red, white, and blue, you could do this in sports colors. You could do it in the color of your country's flag. Or you could just do it in gradients would be really pretty. Here is the shawl. I'll start at this end. It starts with, and it's not technically politically correct. There's only 40 beads on it. There's not 50 for the 50 stars on our flag. And there's not 13 stripes. I just kind of did it as the mood suited me. So it starts with the red, and it goes down. Okay, there you can see the point. Maybe if I roll back a little bit, you can see, get a little bit better view of the whole thing. And here's where the beading is right along in here. And it has a little picot edging. And I'll see if I can get this up closer so you can see it a little bit better. It is all garter stitch with a little bit of lace. You can see the lace here. And there's some lace in the red. And there's lots of striping. So it's just garter striping. It's a very, very easy shawl. Very potato chippy, if you know what I mean. You don't have to, other than remember when to change color or when to do the lace, you really don't have to think about the basic pattern. I'll put it on so you can see what it looks like. I'm not putting it on all that well, but I've been trying to turn it so that the beading kind of hangs down on the one side. So it shows in the little picot edge will show. So there it is. The title will be unfurled. And again, that's what it looks like. Now I'll show you some ideas of what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a couple other times. When we were in New England on vacation last fall, I bought some groups of colors that I wanted to use together, but I didn't have a project in mind when I bought them, and so as a result, some of the yardage that I had was only 175 yard skeins, And I thought, well, what in the world am I going to do with them? This shawl just happens to use 3 skeins of between 150 and 175 yards each. And I really played yarn chicken. I have to show you this. This is all of the blue that I had left. Yes, like it's not even a foot, maybe 10 inches. That's all the yarn I had left when I finished. I had a little bit of the red and white left, but that's all of the blue. So I really played yarn chicken, so I would recommend when I write the pattern up for Ravelry, I'm going to recommend that you have about 175. It's better to have too much than too little, depending on what tension you knit at. So these are the 3 colors that I might make this in again. They're really showing bright. They look like they're almost neon yellow, but they're not. They're kind of a gold. If I hold them back here, yeah, that's a little closer to color. They're kind of fall colors, and this one has some kind of browns and greens, and again, the lighting is blowing out the yellow so that it looks neon, but it's definitely a gold, kind of mustardy color. So that's one option to make with it. The other one is some other yarn I also purchased while I was up in New England. And actually, I think I bought this at Love to Knit, which is the Yarn Shop Girls podcast. And this is Swan's Island. This is also, I think, yes, these 2 are Swan's Island, and this is called Koi Goo. Let's see if I can. There's the label. Koi Goo. It's not chow goo like the needles. It's spelled koi like a goldfish. So anyway, this is looking blue, but it's actually a kind of a dusty turquoise color. And this is variegated, and it has those colors in it. That's pretty true to color. That's pretty true to color. That's looking blue. I don't know why it does that either, because all the podcasts I've watched, they all have problems with blue for some reason. It just doesn't want to show true to color, but it's kind of a dusty turquoise kind of color. So those are my other color options that I think I'm going to do that shawlette over again and do those in those colors. The works in progress that I have to show you, I did not work at all on my Barton cardigan. I think I explained last week that I am going to finish it. I am going to keep working on it, but I'm not knocking myself out to work on it because the weather's getting warmer. For the most part, the weather's getting warmer. I say that because we had almost 70-degree temperatures earlier this week, and then it snowed on Thursday. It snowed, and we got about 2 inches. So the weather's crazy, and it's windy out, and they're calling for more possible snow on Monday or Tuesday, something like that. So here is my Find Your Fade. I have done some progress, actually quite a bit of progress since last week. I am in my 3rd color. Let's see if I can lift this all the way up where it starts with like kind of khaki color, and then it moves to a sage, and then it is in this color, and this is pretty true to form, but it's not showing the sparkles, not real well, but it does have sparkles. Now let me get my yarn here that fell down. I am really going to be, once again, apparently I like to play yarn chicken. I've got another 1/3 of the lace to go yet. It's 3 rows. It's like 1 row of yarn over, that creates the lace, and then one row of knitting. I have 3 of those sections left to go yet in the lace. And then I have to do the melting, and the melting is where you start doing this, where you're blending your colors. That's all the yarn I've got left. I think I'm going to have to improvise on this pattern. So we're going to stretch this as far as it'll go, but my melting might not be too melty. It's not looking like much, and I don't know if I can get more of this yarn. And if I do, whether it would even go with the color. So, yeah. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there, or I might end up cutting the lace a little bit short using this for the melding and then making up the difference in the size some other place in the pattern. But yeah, so I don't know, I had enough yarn, so I don't know if I'm knitting looser. I'm using the size needles. I don't know if it's my gauge or what I did. I mean, it's not the pattern, it's me. But yeah, I mean, I like it so far. I just wish I had more yarn to finish that section up with. So that's how far I've gotten on that. And then I took my On the Spice Market with me to knit night at my local yarn shop. And let me find my progress keeper here. I didn't get too much done because I was too busy talking. Imagine that. Yeah. So you can see where my progress keeper is. I roughly got like 5 rows done. And it is all the way hooked on the needles right now, so I can't show you a whole lot, but there's the rest of it. It's in grays and pinks and purples. And I am on the third color coming back out again with these little dots. So, and it is really soft. The gray that's in this is Madeline Tosh soft. So that is that project. Then I had a viewer this past week ask if I would do a tutorial on how I do my sleeves. I had to kind of laugh when I wrote her back, and I said, maybe you should watch my podcast on my tub of shame before you ask me, because it might turn into a don't let this happen to you type of moment. If you saw that podcast, you'd see I'm apparently sleeve challenged. Remember the sleeve that, you know, I had the built-in bat wings on because I did my decreases wrong, and the other one I made the armholes so big on the vest that yeah, lots of parts of me stuck through the holes instead of just my arms. So I did agree to do that. So I do have some sweaters that have actually turned out, you know, but so I figured I would show you those. Some that I've used a pattern for, some that I have not. So I thought I would first show you a book that I've used that I've made 2 patterns from, and I would show you those patterns, and then I'd show you one that I've come up with on my own. I've used this book. It's called Knit Kimono 2. There is a knit kimono, and then this was the second book in the series. And it is by Vicky Square. And I actually made the sweater that is on the cover here. Mine's in brown instead of a gold color. But what you can see in this picture, because they are kimono based, the sleeves are very like bell sleeves, and they were a little too big for me. As far as they looked nice, but they were a little impractical for me to be wearing. So I actually decreased the size of the sleeves on both sweaters. The other sweater I made was this one, and I actually made it in this color. It's kind of a sage green. You can't see it in the picture real well. I'll get this a little closer so you can see it. It is a pattern that is actually a reversed stockinette, and again you see the big sleeves. And this one I did the same thing too. The book itself is good, and it has a DVD that comes along with it for instruction. So this is the one with the reversed stockinette. See if I can hold it up this way so you can see the whole thing. Well, maybe not. Okay. This is the front. Now the color is coming through pretty true. In this one, you actually, there you can see these little stitches right here. You actually took embroidery floss afterwards. They were like an accent that was put on. So, and that runs on the body of the sweater. This is the back. Now, both of these sweaters were dropped sleeves, which means that the sleeves sit off of the shoulder. They actually sit about halfway down my arm. So it makes it look like the sleeve itself is not very long. But it actually is, because it starts actually up here. And they do their sleeves pretty much the same how I do my sleeves. And I'll show you in a minute. you knitted the body and then you pick up the sleeves right along this seam. Okay, you'll be able to see it better on one that I designed myself, just because it's solid and there's not a design. So I'll show you the other one I made from that book. This is the one that was on the cover. It's a very lacy type of sweater. It's hooked on my hanger. Flip it around to the back. I'll get it up close so you can see it's kind of a lacy stitch. And again, the sleeves are done pretty much the same way. They are also a dropped shoulder. So again, the sleeves are shorter because of the dropped shoulder. Now, this is one that I made. The front is just a checkerboard, you know, knit. Some is stockinette, some is garter to form like a basket weave, and it has a boat collar. I think they call it a boat neck collar. It's basically a square collar. This is the shoulders where I joined them. And if you see little fuzz nubs on here, I really need to take a gleaner to it, and I haven't. This was basically made as a rectangular pattern. See if I can get back enough that you can see the whole thing. It's a rectangular pattern, and when it came time to put the sleeves in, I knit the front, I knit the back. Actually, I knitted, looking at this, I knitted it in the round till I got to below my arms. And once I got below my arms, then I separated it front and back just by dividing the stitches in half. And then I knit the front up, and then the back was on like stitch holders. I knitted the front up, and then I picked up those stitches off of the stitch holder, and I knitted up the back of it, which would leave an open section where your sleeve would be, which is right here. At that time, I turned it inside out, and let's see if I can do this so you can see it. And I just picked up the stitches because I would have a straight line, because, you know, I've just extended it from the tube I started at the bottom. Then I just picked up those sleeves. Here's the seam. You can't see it real well because this is actually wool and it's been washed. And it is actually felted to an extent, so you can't even really see the seam anymore, but the seam runs right along here. And all I did was go through the body of the sweater, pull yarn through along the sides, attach them onto my needles, and then I started knitting out this direction. So that's all it is. Let me turn it back right side out. And it makes, I mean, it's an easy way to do sleeves. There are fancier ways to do it, but this just, you know, is, when I was designing my own pattern to do this, I really didn't want to get too fancy with it because, like I've said, I'm sleeve challenged. You can see the seam right there. That's where I picked up the stitches. So it does show a little bit. I mean, it joins very naturally. And then here it is on this side. You can see it right along here, right at the edge of the basket weave. And I just followed the stitches that were running this direction. I just followed that chain along and pulled them through this direction, and then I knitted. Because you'll notice my sleeves here go this direction. The stitches go this direction. The body goes this direction. So that it just basically looks like an upside down L. And that's how I do my sleeves. I mean, I think they're easier. There's some ways that you can do it where you put like a yarn over and they come across. You end up like with little holes along the side here. I have never done that one that way, but it is possible to do it that way. I just haven't. This seems to be simple and it works, and it's my less fallible pattern to go with. So that's how I do my sleeves. I hope that helped. Like I said, I grabbed one of my sweaters that I thought would maybe show up the best. Some of my other ones are a little fuzz, have a little halo to them, and they don't show up as much. So, yeah. So hopefully that answered the question with the sleeve issue. I've had a week of yarn enabling. I'm going to have all kinds of goodies to show next week. Well, all kinds. It's going to be 3. I've got 3 items for next week. I was watching right after I filmed my podcast last week, and I was waiting for it to upload, because it takes like a long time to upload. Even if it's short, it could take you, an hour, 2 hours, whatever. So I was watching podcasts and knitting my little heart out and watching. I had 2 tangled skeins on, and one of the ladies on there was talking about some fiber she bought to spin. So she held it up, and I went, ooh. It's, and I will put it in the down bar here where I got it from. It's called Fondant Fiber. It is in England, somewhere. I'm not sure where, but it's somewhere in England. And it was very, very reasonably priced. It's called Salted Caramel. Yeah, it's actually sold out now, so I think I must have gotten one of the last skeins, or everybody else that watched it must have done the same thing I did and hit the buy now button. Because, like I said, I checked it just before I did the podcast, and it's already sold out. But it's like a white color and all different colors of like light and dark caramel, and it's really, really pretty. And it was reasonable. It was like 3 ounces, and it was 6.5 pounds, which I think came out to, it wasn't a whole lot more, because the exchange rate between the pound and the US dollar there's very little difference right now. Which is crazy, because it used to be the opposite. It used to be the pound was worth a lot more than the US dollar, and now I think the US dollar is actually worth a little bit more. Anyway, but it was cheap. And so it was 6.5 pounds, or yeah, pounds money, not yarn weight, but pounds, for 3 ounces. And the lady that was on 2 Tangled Skeins, her name's Lynn, she was actually hugging and cuddling the yarn, going, I've never felt fiber this soft before. So of course I had to buy it. And then she started talking about this other fiber she bought from the same lady, and she held it up, and it was a natural fiber. She said it wasn't as soft. It was 100 grams, and it was like dark chocolate colored. So I might be knitting a candy bar. It sounds like it, doesn't it? With the salted caramel and the white, like ice cream, maybe a chocolate sundae. I'm going to have something the color of a chocolate sundae. I have no idea what I'm going to make out of it, but I think I'm going to ply the 2 together once I spin them. So, yeah, I was excited about it. So I've got that coming. And the weight for shipping, or the cost for shipping, really wasn't that much either. It was like $5.99, which when you figure it's coming from another country and has to come across the ocean, that's pretty cheap. So, and the lady on 2 Tangled Skeins said she got hers within a week. Now, I ordered it last Saturday, and that was another reason I postponed putting my podcast out till this afternoon, because I was hoping it would be in the mail today, because I purchased it last Saturday, so I should have it for next week. So I bought that. And then I was watching the Yarn Shop girls, and they started talking about, and again, I put podcasts on while I'm knitting. So there I am knitting, and they start talking about this new dyer. The Yarn Shop girls actually run a yarn shop called Love to Knit. And I've been there, and I met Marissa, and I met Anne. Gail wasn't there that day. And I remember I walked into the shop, and in the course of looking at things, I about knocked over I did knock over one of their mannequins. I caught it before it hit the floor, so it wasn't totally embarrassing. And I don't know if they saw me do it. I just happened to, fast reflexes, reached out and grabbed it before it hit the floor. It's like, what a way to make an entrance. So, always want to be memorable wherever I go, apparently. So, anyway, I was watching their podcast, and they started talking about this new yarn dyer. I mean, she's not new, but she's new to them, a yarn dyer up in Maine. Well, you know how I love Maine. You can tell that by all the books I read that come out of Maine. So, the radar went up like right away. And so you start showing these beautiful colors that they bought. So I'm watching the podcast and opening up another tab on my computer to go look at the fiber that or the yarn that they're talking about. And so I pull it up, and it's called On the Round, and I bought some that is discontinued. I hit the buy button before they were even done the podcast. I'd already bought it. It's called Deconstructed Twinkle Twinkle, and it's white, and it has different like yellows and golds, and yeah, it's really pretty looking in the picture. So I'll be excited to show that to you next week. Oh, and that fondant fiber, I forgot to tell you, also sells like project bags, and they sell yarn as well, not just fiber for spinning, but they sell project bags. They sell, like I said, the yarn. They sell, I looked through there. It was a ton of stuff. But check them out because the prices really weren't bad at all. And I'll put the links to both of those places in the down bar. I'll tell you, so you can check out both of these shops, just in case you would like to be yarn enabled too. So, we have to share it when we find a good deal. So now we'll move on to our book of the week. And this is a tried and true old faithful, Murder, She Wrote. Now, if you're as old as I am, you will remember watching Angela Lansbury in the Murder, She Wrote series that was on TV. Okay. If you read these books, they're written by Donald Bain. And it's funny because because if you read the cover, it says Jessica Fletcher and Donald Bain and Renee Pele Bain. I don't know if that's his wife or what. But he always includes Jessica Fletcher as if she's a real person, as if she's actually doing some of the writing. So, anyway, Donald Bain actually writes these. I think his wife does some of the research for him for some of the history that's involved or whatever details. Like this one is called Designed for Murder, and it's talking about a fashion show that takes place during Design Week in New York. So, yeah, if you enjoyed the series, you will enjoy this because it's like when I read this, I can picture the series. I can picture all this actually happening as if I was watching it. It's that well written. I really have enjoyed them. He's got, 20 some books. I've read all of them. He started writing these all the way back in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, like right around the time the show went off the air, he started writing these. So there's about 20 or 30 of them. I guess you can still get all of them. I've read all of them over the years. They're very good. Like I said, if you enjoyed the series, you'll enjoy the book because they're pretty much interchangeable. And the interesting thing is, if any of you read the Margaret Truman mysteries, Harry Truman's daughter, Margaret, also wrote mystery stories, okay? I never read any of them, but I would see them at our library on a regular basis. She was pretty prolific in writing them. Anyway, after she passed away, this is the author that they asked to continue writing for her. So you can still get Margaret Truman mysteries that are coming out, but he is actually like the ghostwriter behind them. So, yeah. Anyway, so just in case you like Margaret Truman mysteries, you would probably enjoy these too because they're now written by the same person. So, and it's funny because they actually have a picture of Jessica Fletcher on the cover. I mean, Jessica Fletcher. Angela Lansbury. Yes, she's actually on the cover. So I think this is in her much younger years that they put her in. But yeah, they're enjoyable. They're what I say always, they're a quick read. They're entertaining, and like I said, if you want something that's like stress-free, nothing gory, nothing, creepy or scary, anything like that. That's what a cozy mystery is all about. They're all, the murder mystery without all the gore and blood and stuff. So that's why I like the cozy mysteries best. And so that pretty much takes care of it for this week, except for our giveaway. If you've hung around till the end, I am doing a giveaway. I now have 100, last I checked, I have 108 subscribers. So thank you everybody that has subscribed and stuck with me and joined me, and it's exciting every week. I feel like you're my own little knitting circle and that we all talk and share back and forth. So as a thank you for sticking with me and tuning in, I am doing a giveaway for some of my yarn from my Etsy shop. It's called Bubblegum Bliss. It's a sport weight. It is 100% wool. It's 90 gram, three 90-gram skeins. So it's a total of, now how did I do that? Oh, it's a total of 90 grams. So they're 30-gram skeins. I'm sitting there looking at this going, this doesn't add up. Yeah, it's a total, there's 3 30-gram skeins, and it is a total of 90 grams or 246 yards. So let me see if I can get the colors good with this, because they're looking very orange, and they're not. They're pink. There we go. That's a little bit better. Just the stuff that's showing up as orange, just imagine it's pink. It's almost, this was actually dyed with Kool-Aid. So you have a light pink that's kind of tonal, and you have a darker pink, and it's got some tonal colors to it. It has some lighter colors mixed in there. And then you have a variegated, which has combinations of both of these colors, as well as, I think there's a little bit of yellow in there, a light yellow or an orange. So this is kind of fruit punch colored. It just isn't showing up. I wish I could make it show up better in the light. And it's not going to though. But it's fruit punch colored. And then this is almost like a kind of a watermelon pink. And then this is a combination. So in order to enter to win this, you must be over 18. You must be a subscriber. And you have to leave me a comment. And I do reply to all the comments that are in there. So if you leave me a message, I will talk back to you. I like talking with my subscribers back and forth. It's fun. And I just feel like the more I talk back and forth with you, the closer we all get. I feel like we're more friends than, if you're like viewers, I feel like you're my friends. So, yeah. So please enter. And the giveaway ends next Saturday. So today is the 11th, so it actually will end on March 18th, 2017. So next podcast, I will be drawing the winner. And good luck to everybody. And yeah, I guess that's it for this week. And I will see you again next Saturday. Thanks again for tuning in. Like I said, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Click the down button to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.